So we are back. Real excited about this. Another great show coming up for you, ladies and gentlemen, in just moments here as I do this pre production setup to get us ready to go 100% live. I love everybody's patience. We're getting started a little bit late, but we always make an appearance. Very excited to be back. And the show begins now. All right, good evening out there. It is another fabulous Monday evening, and I am your host, Derek Stroman. Excited to be back with everybody. Man, it feels good. The weekend was great. The week leading to the weekend was great. Just busy, and I'm loving every second of it because this is what I asked for in life was to be doing, is to be doing the things that I'm doing right now with the people whom I am doing it with. And a couple of those people are with us tonight. As you already know, Travis Short is here as well, along with Tim Ladard. The three amigos. I
That's
don't know
right.
which order. I don't know which order it starts in, but let me at least be Chevy Chase on this one.
That makes you Dusty Bottoms. You know that, right? I mean,
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman and who else was there? Oh, it was
no,
Chevy
you had Chevy Chase, Martin Short, and
Martin Short.
Steve Martin.
Oh,
Yep.
Steve Martin. I'm thinking that's another movie. But yeah, Steve Martin. That's right. It was Steve Martin. Hey, now I think about it, let me be Steve Martin. He was always great in all his movies.
I'll
Yep.
I'll be the small guy.
You'll be who?
The small guy, Martin Short.
Of course, the tallest one of all of us, right? Choose the shortest guy. That's funny. It should be Travis. His last name actually
Last
is
name Short.
right?
I know, right?
Well, anyway, gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Paramedia Activity. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I don't know. Let's start with you, Travis Short. How's your your weekend? How'd your weekend go? And
We
how's your Monday
weekend Weekend was busy. We did Christmas in July here in London, Kentucky. So I was out at the London Farmers Market from 1 p.m. until about 10:30 p.m. MC'd the stage there. Had some great entertainment by Studio London and Kites, husband and wife performance team. They were amazing. Brad Jones, Oasis Entertainment, did a wonderful job with the sound. And then we had about 46 vendors. I mean, a huge vendor
Jeez.
turnout for this outdoor Christmas in July event from all over the state of Kentucky. Met people from Western Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, Northern Kentucky, but just a very long day, very busy.
Yes.
Enjoyed a very quiet, slow, uneventful, boring Sunday, and I loved every minute of it. Nothing happened, nothing went on. Cash and I hung out on the couch watching crap movies and crap TV shows, and it was great. Monday was very productive. I got a lot of things accomplished at work today.
Yeah.
Got a very busy week. I've got meetings pretty much around the clock the rest of this week. Of course, the week ends, and so does the month, which means I've got a lot of month-end reports I've got to get done and month preview reports for the upcoming month of August. And I always go ahead and try to plan about 90 days out. So I'm already working on the end of the year for what we've got to come down here in London with my three stations. But all in all, a really good weekend. And I will say this, my week is better than last week. Last week was not a great week. This week has started off much better.
Yeah, I know. I remember last week for you, and it was a interesting week to say the least, right? So it's good that This
Yes.
week has been good, and the weekend that treated you the way it did, you definitely needed that. And that roller coaster ride of life that we go through, right? So we definitely understand having to go
Yes.
through that shift in that wave. But to what you were doing this weekend with the Christmas parties and in the summertime, my company, Baltimore Industrial, actually does something similar. We hold our Christmas party in the summer where people can actually make it, because think about it, around Christmas time everybody generally goes away somewhere in
Right.
most cases. So and the weather's better, you can enjoy yourselves. We do it at this, like, this I guess, what do they call them, resort setup, where they got a pool and everything, and plenty of canopies and whatever pavilions I think they're called, and
Yep.
have a good time. Play. Like there's this game, this company game that they play year round. It's traditional. Our boss will buy all these gifts and stuff, and then some you can snatch gifts from each other. Anyway, the point is, it's a good time that you can have when the weather's right. Now, of course, due to the COVID year 2020, we didn't have the Christmas party because everything was closed, but
Right.
that has still been a tradition, and I'm really into doing Christmas parties in the summer or when the weather's nice out. So, but I just wanted to say that because that's what that reminded me of when you said that, Christmas parties in
Oh
the
yeah.
middle of summer. But anyway, what's up with you, Timberwolf? How's your week and weekend been leading up to today?
Well, I feel left out.
Uh, yeah, we're losing your audio a little bit, my friend. Oh, you just got cool real quick. What the heck just happened? Is that a freeze frame? Is he frozen right now? Oh,
No. Oh, but I can't hear. We can't
yeah,
hear him.
yeah, we can't hear.
Hear me
He's
okay?
putting his glasses on. He's got a. He's fitting the look of the
Oh,
show.
oh yeah, I see. That's nice. I like that. He's got more of that Terminator look thing going
He
on.
does just a little bit.
Doom,
Oh,
doom,
you
doom.
feel Connor?
Yeah, I'm not. I better not be. I hope not. Nah, but your sound like your audio's in and out. You look great.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
As long
now
as you're close to it. Yep.
yeah, it seems like when you're a little closer to it, we're
How
picking
about
you up better.
that?
It's still a little bit choppy, but it seems like it's better when you are closer, like Travis said.
Check 1 2. Check.
Yeah, there you are.
Okay.
All right, so
All right.
cool. So yeah, what were you saying though? You got to hit me with the Terminator accent again.
35 years from now, you reprogram me to be a protector now.
So Tim's really good at impersonations. Like
I love it.
he's playing with it right now, but I've actually been around him a few times where he could switch up a couple different dialects. It like pretty good, man. Better than I've seen. Like if anybody that I can say I know personally to this day, I mean Tim definitely takes the cake there. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the voices come, and you find your range. Like Travis has a range. You have a range
Yep.
there, and then you come to realize, one day, you realize that yes, you can sound like that Russian on the TV, or you can sound like you've got that Jersey accent, and you're from
Hmm.
but the difference between being from Jersey, but actually being from Boston, the Boston accent. I mean, I I've always wanted to do voiceover work, and I'm sure that everybody's has always wanted to do it as well. I know that you guys could do it. It'd be something to like look into at some point, add to your talent and credits list. But as far as what I've this past weekend, I spent time storyboarding, working on my sci-fi horror film, and I received some new lighting in the mail, some new LED lighting that we're going to be using for on-location shooting, like actual larger panels that we can power with batteries. But yeah,
Nice.
looking forward to just continuing doing the filming thing with Johnny Lang and continuing working on getting mine done too. I'm really hoping to start mine in February of 2022. But if Baltimore Bomb runs over, then I may have to push that back to March.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what the discussion has been. Even talking to Johnny, Johnny's well aware of that. He knows that that project's going to take a little bit more to really get up and running than maybe initially perceived. But that's all productions. You know that, Tim. I mean, heck, we work together for the same production company, and we have our own respective companies ourselves. Like you said, with Timberwolf Productions and Stroman Entertainment. So, did I say it right? What's
Creations.
Timberwolf Creations. Okay, Timberwolf Creations.
Type of productions and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I try not to limit my creativity to just production work because I can give help in the realm of music. I can give help in the realm of special effects and makeup and in as many different areas as I can, and not just be locked into like one area or just one type of creative expression. Like
and I 100% agree with that, and that's why when I said it, I was like, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'm sure Timberwolf's going to correct me, if I'm not. And you did, and that's important because same thing with Jay Roberts. He's a graphics designer, so he likes to make sure people understand that it's about the graphics, and that doesn't mean he has expertise in other areas that aren't necessarily graphic designs, because that's an expertise, kind of like what you're saying, and you don't want to limit yourself nor over exaggerate your abilities to do things. So it's important to be specific in what it is that you're telling people that you could do, because you could really be put on blast quite rapidly if you're not prepared. So.
But I mean, I come with the A game every time we step on set.
Yeah. Well, we talk about you a lot. Whether you're around or not, about your expertise, you're a wealth of knowledge. A lot of people might say, what do they call that? Ton of useless information, but not in the sense of what we talk about and the range of where we go in conversation, because we take it there. People like Travis, myself, Kev Baker, Bill Bean, Stan Gordon, Lon Strickler. These things we talk about on a regular basis because we believe them, and if we don't believe them, then we have our reasons for how we feel. Hence, kind of the topic tonight, stemming from last night's Warrior Mode show. We talked a lot about zombies and do they exist? Okay, one, is a relevant question to ask, and if they don't exist, can they be created? Can you manifest? Can you manufacture? Can you build? Or whatever proper title or wording to be used? Can you create a zombie? And I gave some ideas. If you remember, Travis, I gave some ideas on how. I mean, it's not that hard. Bill said, yeah, well, simple. They've been around since the early World Wars, and they're called super soldiers.
Super soldiers. Yep.
So I don't know. How do you feel about that, Timberwolf?
I was going to say, Travis, go ahead, take the lead. I wanted to know what you feel about it, what you felt.
Well, I think the concept of zombies. To me, we talked about this last night. As far as horror genres go, it's my least favorite of the horror genre, with the exception of about 5 movies. The original White Zombie, Bela Lugosi, from early 1930s. I Walked with a Zombie. Of course, Romero's original, Shaun of the Dead, and then my all-time favorite, because it combines aliens, UFOs, and zombies, and that's Night of the Creeps from 1986. Probably my all-time favorite of the zombie films, because it really does combine all of those great elements. And then, of course, you've got that great catchphrase, "Thrill me," from that. So it's one of those movies. I watched The Walking Dead for the first 5 seasons and really enjoyed it for about the first 3. I thought they were doing a great job with character development and the whole aspect of, really who's the Walking Dead in this? Is it the zombies or is it the survivors? Which is, and really had you questioning that. And then it spiraled after the writer's strike, and I think they've struggled to get their footing back. And it's not like a soap opera. You can't pick up The Walking Dead 3 or 4 years later and try to figure out what's going on. You're going to have to binge watch it from the beginning to fill in those gaps. Zombies, I think, and I also mentioned this, my kids years ago, my son just turned 18 in January. My daughter just turned 17 the 1st of July. But about 10, 12 years ago, they were terrified of zombies and mummies. Those were the two things that absolutely terrified them. Didn't matter if it was a movie or a Scooby-Doo. And I remember my ex-wife called me. They've been watching Scooby-Doo, and there was a mummy episode and a zombie episode. And the kids were terrified because the zombies and the mummies walk with their arms outstretched, and they're like they're coming to get us. And I'm like, really? I said, the reason that zombies and mummies walk like that is because they're easily led. There's somebody controlling them. And I think at the end of the day, that's really what we're talking about with this concept of zombies, are people that are easily controlled. Derek and Bill talked about it last night. Super soldiers that are brainwashed to do one function and one function only. And in all honesty, the military itself is that way, because I have a great deal of respect, and I hope no one takes this the wrong way. I've been crucified in the chat room enough. I don't want anyone to take me the wrong way. But I think that the military, and I have a great deal of respect for our military, all branches of armed forces, including Space Force. Thank you very much. I will even give a shout out to Space Force. I am even appreciative of them. But in the military, you are not taught to think. You are taught to react, and you're taught to protect and not to think, because the minute you start thinking self-preservation, and the military does not want you to think self-preservation. They want you to think defense, protection, and protection of the group. That's why those bonds that are formed in the military, and I never served. I never did. My dad served. I have relatives that have served. I've got many friends that have served. I never served in the military, but I know those bonds that are formed there are lifelong friendships, lifelong bonds that are formed until death. But it's because it is born out of a group think mentality. You think on behalf of the group, and you don't actually think, you just react. There is a situation, you react as you are trained to react. I think politically, religiously, and socially, we live in a world of zombies. We all do what we're told. I think an individual is very smart and very intellectual, and you can have an intelligent conversation with one person. You start trying to have a conversation with the mass audience, and all of a sudden we get into that deer in the headlight, blinded by what everybody else thinks. We don't want to upset anybody. We want to fit in. We want to just stagger and stumble with our arms and hands outstretched to be led by someone who's telling us exactly what to think. That's why I think the voting process, I think, in this country is screwed up, because people will not vote what they actually believe. They only vote what they're told to vote. They vote what the propaganda tells them. They vote what advertising tells them. Don't get me wrong. I do political consulting, and I'm in advertising. I am not downgrading it at all. But as an individual and as a thinking individual, that's a problem, because we have people that would rather be spoon-fed what to do than actually think for themselves. And I'll get off my soapbox.
No, go ahead. It is well spoken. What do you think about that, Tim?
Tim's got no audio again.
Again, sorry. I wholeheartedly agree with everything that Travis said. We do have a bunch of zombies walking around that are attached to their electronics and their media. Their god is media and technology as of right now. So there's a whole generation of zombies like you spoke of there. But as regarding the military, there's a certain kind of amount of brainwashing that goes into military training, especially on at the higher levels of the more strenuous activities that individuals get involved in the military. But it takes in brainwashing can become a relative term in the sense that brainwashing can be described as repetition.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's all. Just a repetition of anything could be considered brainwashing. So, but I think as far as like real zombies, getting back to what Travis has said, and speaking about World War II and the super soldier, the possibility of super soldiers. One thing that in my studies, I've come across is the stories of the Nazi party over there. Their scientists and their physicians trying to reanimate dead soldiers.
Mhm.
They try to. So I mean, they're like, well, in case we start running out of men, can we reanimate these bodies and send them to go back out? At least to like take the next couple bullets or something in that nature, so the guys who have guns. And at first it was kind of like it sounded a little bit far fetched, but then I thought back, to a movie that I'd seen back in the '90s, from a series called the Puppet Master films. Do you remember them?
Do you
Oh
say
yes,
the what?
the Puppet Masters.
The
Yeah,
Puppet
I own the first 4 original.
Yes.
Jeez.
Okay,
I haven't heard of it.
So you're very conscious of Puppet Master 3 and
Yes.
how it takes place in Germany, in occupied Germany during World War II. And in one of the scenes, one of the German officers, walks into a basement physician's office that is working for the Nazi regime, and he has been, charged with, with the duty of trying to reanimate, do as best as can to reanimate, these dead soldiers. And he was actually accomplishing it. And they would be alive for a certain amount of time, but then they would lose all, like, their nervous system would completely shut off and they just fall to the ground. And it would only work for a certain amount of time. So then, it actually kind of solidified for me, thinking back to that film where, in Puppet Masters, in a B film, they wrote into the story that they were trying to reanimate dead bodies over there in Nazi Germany during that time. And I don't want to, and I know I talk a lot about Nazi Germany and a lot about World War II. So I'm going to shift gears and go to other tribes of peoples in other areas of the world, whether it be Africa, whether it be South America, over in Australia. There's always some kind of concept of an undead, or a person who's been dead and has come back. So those stories have been prevalent for as long as human beings have been around, especially in down in the South, where voodoo is quite prevalent, and stories of people being brought back from the dead and being just this incoherent person just walking around, and those stories have existed for many years, even up until recently.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it here online, but all that keeps coming up when you mention Puppet Master. All I think about is the one spoof with the with the little German dude with the firearm.
That's it.
Oh, is
That's the
that
one.
it?
Yep.
Oh, is that the one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I do have the right one here.
I'm Aaron James Draplin. I'm 47 years old. I'm a
Hold on one second here. Let's bring it in. So you're actually talking about the puppet in this particular movie.
designer here in Portland, Oregon.
Let's see if we
With
can
Illustrator. It's like 7 or 8
get past
tools
the
that I
ad here.
Was the third one? Was that Toulon's Revenge, Timberwolf?
This
Or was-
is one of the most violent films.
Or was
Sorry,
that?
But it was the introduction. It was the introduction of 2 new puppets. Which one was the Kraut, or the flamethrower. No, I guess he was known as Flame or Fire or something of that nature. And then the other one was 6-shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
6 gun. So those were the 2 new ones that were introduced, and the Kraut or the Flame was, if you looked at his hat, he had the Blitzkrieg, old school Blitzkrieg helmet with the spike on top of it and whatnot.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a spot in that movie, Derek, in Puppet Master 3, that's where that scene is.
Let's go Puppet Master 3. This wasn't it. This was something else. So Puppet Master 3.
I mean, zombies. I think that there's a contingency plan for it someplace, or maybe all places, if it does happen. But until
Yep.
that happens, we have more.
Well, have you seen Overlord, which was, I thought, an amazing World War II zombie horror film,
Right.
because it was more like an action film that simply had that zombie reanimated soldier element. It wasn't about that necessarily, but it really did play, and they did a really good job. That opening air battle sequence was one of the best I've seen in a long time.
The Nazis thought
I'm very particular about my World War II films, and gets it right. You know, as soon as I see the wrong kind of olive drab, the wrong color olive drab, I'm like instantly like I point it right out. And then on top of that, the wear and tear of the uniform or whatever they're wearing, you know, being out there for a duration of time. I'm looking for all these things. So especially that, because my grandfather and a lot of our relatives, you know, had been parts of, you know, the European theater or even the South Pacific theater. So it's just something, you know, from all the stories and all the tales that you've heard from from everyone. It's important to you when they get it right, or if they do get it wrong.
Yes.
Right.
The Overlord was exacting when it comes to the uniforms, the battle dress, the colors that they use.
Sorry about that, gentlemen. I'm actually just trying to find it.
That scene is actually kind of near the beginning, like probably like 10, 15 minutes into it. It's been a long time since I've seen the film, but he walks in and he's got a dead body just standing there, like reanimated temporarily, and then it just falls over. You might have it there. I don't know.
This might be it here. So what we're going to do real quick, let me, I'm going to start this and just check it out. And I just want to see, because, you know, if nothing else is more, it is a, you know, a Nazi war era depiction of the movie. I believe this is the right one, because it looks like there might have been a remake. This might not be the right one. I think this is a remake. And I think it actually even said 2018, but
there is a new one. There is a new one that came out.
This might be it. So this is what's important to me, gentlemen. And, you know, I know a lot of people, I mean, you see the swastika there, and I know a lot of people really get sensitive and a little bothered when with the you know, this era in humanity and history. But it's, you know, I know a lot of people want to erase humanity. They want to erase history, rather, excuse me, want to erase history. But I think it's better for us to acknowledge it, bring it in, understand what was going on, and just try to be better as a civilization. Now, go ahead, Tim.
Anytime anybody gets up in arms to, like, you know, around me, or if anybody says anything about this, or if they have a complaint, I just, you know, respectfully say, what you're looking at there, the swastika, that you're just looking at another rung in the ladder of climbing to become greater, and we were stepping on hate in that rung, trying to climb up to get higher than that. So that's just another rung, another step in the ladder was stepping, you know, climbing up that. And it's just another stepping stone right there for us, you know, exacting, you know, righteousness and making things right. That's all.
And I agree with you 100%. Let me see if I get the screen that I'm looking for here. I agree with you 100%. And that's why I understand. I lived in Germany, so it's something that that I just understand in a different way, and I'm not afraid of it. I'd rather embrace it. Talk with people who have some kind of insight, like you gentlemen, that I didn't have when I was there. I was too young, and then, excuse me, unless I go seek the information for myself, or just listen to whatever anybody else has to say that might not be 100% accurate in their depiction, or what they're trying to convey to me about that era and time, then I could perceive it wrong as well, you know. So
everyone, there's always going to be something by it, and, you know, of all due respect to them, and, you know, but no disrespect, you know, and I'm not hating on anybody or anything of that nature, and it's part of history, and we can either utilize it in a teaching sense, and we can utilize things for historical accuracy, and also remember this, that movies and film, there is no 100% historical accuracy. Anytime they say that we looked in deep and we read all the stories, and we talked to the people who were there, and we got exact it's very exact historical accuracy, and it's impossible to get that because there's always going to be something that they missed. So what you're just seeing here, like, is just anytime like the flag comes up, I feel it's like, all right, well, there's the flag.
Yeah.
We're not putting it up as some kind of propaganda. We're not, trying to show it in a positive nature. We're using it as an element to describe to tell a story. We're just using it as an element to describe. As soon as you see that, be like, all right, well, yeah, we know we're over Nazi Germany, and then you can cut to something else.
Well, not only that. I mean, I could just you could just go on, and everything you're saying is so valid. It's incredible, and I'm glad you're saying it. But I just want to piggyback on what you're saying. Not only that, we're talking about people or an organization, a society ran by an evil dictator who was trying to create what we're talking about as content in this show. He was trying to make zombies.
He did make goose stepping zombies. He made goose stepping zombies.
Thank you. And that's all I'm saying. And so it's relevant to the topic as well, Tim.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear the stories. I mean, if you guys have stories of documentation of reanimated bodies, listening to, like, taking orders or being able to comprehend. I would love to hear those stories. I mean, it could be at a different time. It could be another show. It could be like one-on-one or in a phone call. However you want to do it. But that's definitely not an area that I really have delved into too far. And I would love love you point in the right direction and set on the right path instead of like hitting a bunch of walls with, like I said prior. There are stories of zombies in every country. It's all throughout time. World War Z touched upon, things happening over in Jerusalem. They touched upon it, originating over in India. And over in India, they had the name for zombie over there. I distinctly remember them saying it in the movie was Irikshasha, or the undead.
Yeah. Yes.
So, and then there's just in whatever dialect you want to use down there. One of the 500 that they do have over in India, Irikshasha, well, apparently was universal there. So. I feel like in my studies, if I tried to, I would probably hit walls, trying to get to the real truth, the way I've actually gotten to real truth when it comes to unidentified craft above us, or the possibility of dimensions and things of that nature. I was able to dive diligently and find real information about that and share it with you and the viewers. But I don't feel like I could really, I can't fathom finding the real deal information, and that's where I would love for your guys' assistance if you have that info.
The only recorded instance I know of real life zombieism comes from the book by Wade Davis, The Serpent and the Rainbow, which was turned into a movie. I think the book came out in 85 and the movie came out in 86.
I love that movie. That movie had an original creepiness to it.
Yes, it did.
It was very psychologically haunting in a way. If you really paid attention to it, that you walked away a little scarred after watching that film, if you truly were into film.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's Bill Paxton or Pullman. Bill Pullman, because Paxton passed. Bill Pullman played the protagonist.
I have a challenge.
But it's a solid movie, and Tim's right. It's haunting in its own way. It's not blood guts horror, but it's terrifying. The being buried alive, which goes back to Edgar Allan Poe and all those fears that we all have. You live through that with him while he is being put in the ground, and he's cognizant of what's going on, but he can't speak, he can't move. Everyone thinks he's dead, and then he comes back. It's haunting.
Yeah, I figure it's probably best if I just turn the audio down. We keep getting interrupted by me in this audio, but I do want people to see these images. Um, and hey, look, this is just YouTube. Anybody can go there and look this up for themselves, or actually go rent the movie. I'm sure you can find it on demand or any kind of cable on demand type service. But over the years and over several years, Hollywood has tried to depict um, scenarios of real zombies and try to give you a theoretic, right, Tim? A theoretic
There,
scenario
see that
where it could really.
right there
Right
in
here.
that scene. Yeah, in that scene right there, he blew this dust into Bill Pullman's face, and that put him into like
That yes,
a near death kind of uh, it may put him.
catatonic. Yep.
Yes, thank you very much. A catatonic state to where he couldn't move. I mean, his vital signs were just barely there. It's like what somebody would say, using curare or detro
Which is
detrotoxin.
which is the chemical that's used in the particular potion that the Haitians use.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
Okay, so he basically puts him in a state of paralysis, and like
Hmm.
they bury him, and then he comes back, and he is in a state of he looks like a zombie. He's pale. He's completely dehydrated. He's hallucinating. There's everything that's going on. He moves and acts and walks like a zombie, and that's where they say a lot of the voodoo practices, actually made people walk as zombies when they were literally entranced by this powdered drug or this opiate that they blew into their face.
So what's the most hypothetic scenario is what I'm looking for. As we cover our analyzation of what we're seeing and what we're understanding. I mean, yeah, you had to pick one, Tim, and the same question goes to you, Travis. If you had to pick a real life scenario today, not anything based off of theory, right? We're talking about theory.
Mhm.
Theoretically, what makes sense? What we know exists today, not something that science fiction that we've seen in a sci-fi movie. I'm talking about a movie like The Serpent and the Rainbow, which they're trying to explain like it could really happen if you have these kind of gifts or this kind of powder dust. What scenario makes the most sense to you guys as far as being able to create a real zombie, a real zombie? Now, mind you, what kind of zombies are we talking about? Are we just talking about zombies that are hell bent on killing and hurting you, or we're talking about zombies that are flesh eating, and are trying to, are seeking brains, or they have a craving for brains. I mean,
Well,
some.
I mean, they're going to starve to death in this culture and society. There are no brains. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, it's it,
I
it's
love
just not
it.
it's just not gonna happen. I mean, there's no brains out there. There's a shortage. Sorry.
There's
Um,
a shortage.
there's a shortage of brains, at least thinking brains. There's a shortage of them. No, I mean, let me pose that. Let me kind of counter that question
Sure.
and reposition it. Let's ask yourselves what differentiates reanimating a dead corpse and becoming a zombie, or resuscitating someone who has died or putting them on life support. Where is the difference philosophically?
There really is. That's a great way to reposition that question. There isn't any really. It almost seems identical. So that is something that is clear and present, right?
And,
This happened.
and if we can bring people back to life, and we can resuscitate them. They can die. They can be brain dead, and we can bring them back. Now they come back fully functioning. So I'm not saying that when we resuscitate someone and we bring them back to life that we're creating a zombie. But if we have the technology, we have the medical capability, we have the know-how to do that, do you really think that the powers that be, government agencies, don't have a slightly more advanced technology?
Listen, you hit it right on the head. You hit the nail right on the head. And the answer is yes. And this is, well, you already knew my answer. you already knew what I was going to say, Travis, and absolutely so. And they're experimenting with it. They are. I mean, why wouldn't you? There's so much going on that we cannot see, and I'm talking about facilities. Listen, NIH, and you know this, Timberwolf. NIH is right up the street in Bethesda. Okay, National Institute of Health. Okay, they're studying on all kinds of uh, animals and creatures, and it's just some people, you got organizations that have a big problem with that. These studies on these animals, and they're using them as proverbial guinea pigs. But I mean,
It,
how? What do you say about that? I don't want to offend anybody out there, but are we wrong? Are we wrong for doing these kind of studies
yes,
completely?
yes, we are wrong, but at the same time, just in a simplified version, the question is, how would this happen? Like, what would be like the platform? The, any platform for anything off the wall or unique to happen is going to be the military, our government, and our high up scientists. There is nothing else. There is no private sector that's that's doing this. I don't believe that there's somebody in the private sector that is recreating, taking dead bodies that have been dead for days or even weeks and reanimating them and sending them off to do some task. Because the brain activity, like there has to be brain activity to make everything work, because the brain is constantly sending signals throughout the body. It sends down the spinal cord, and it's like I said before, it's as simple as like, making your finger move like that. You're telling your finger to move that way, but there's other things that are happening in your body that that are happening inadvertently. It's on a timetable. It's on a time system. The brain says, all right, it's time to digest food. We're going to move food from this part of your body to that part of your body. We need to make these muscles fire to make them walk. Like all these things that happen. So to make all of these things happen, get a body to stand upright and to walk along, let alone pick up a gun.
I see what you're saying.
Let alone pick up a gun and go ahead and battle with strategy. I find that hard to believe. But if somebody was going to do it, it would be government and military, and there is nobody else. That's it, because it's not going to be done in the private sector.
What do you think about that, Mr. Short?
I'm not so sure that there is a private sector. I think there's just extensions of the government sector that don't have access to all of the things the government
or government funding, but they have maybe private funding.
Yes, exactly. I think he's absolutely right. I mean, this is, I've had this philosophical / theological conversation many times when I was a pastor, because people want to start talking about, especially if someone is on life support and, basically terminating because there's no hope for them to live, but the family doesn't want that to happen. Does one person have the right to make that call? Do they have the right to make that decision? And the fact of the matter is, we have been screwing around. If you want to couch this theologically, we've been screwing around with God's creation as long as we possibly could. Men and women dye their hair color. Men and women get plastic surgery. Men and women do all types of things to change the way that they look, to make themselves feel better. That's one aspect. And then when you get to medicine, at one point in time, people died and they were dead.
Yeah.
And then we started creating medicines, again, private or government, who knows, but there are medications out there that people now take that extend their lives, that can make them feel younger, can make them look younger, can make them act younger. And then there are medications that can bring people back from the dead. We resuscitate them. We inject them with adrenaline. We get their heart pumping again. In times past, those people would be
just died.
Dead. They would be dead.
They would have just died.
So at what point are we not playing God? At what point are we not stepping in and saying, we know better than God or the creator or nature, or there's an arrogance to mankind.
I had the
Absolutely.
I had the answer to that. It may offend somebody out there, but I'll just say the answer is Scientology.
Well,
sorry, it was just a little comical, but
yeah, it was. Yeah, I caught it.
Well,
no, no. Go ahead, Derek.
I'm looking at the theory of that, and we talk about this a lot too, Travis. That point in being so-called, I guess you could just say, have passed on. There's a fine line, right? Where they made a movie about, was it Flatliners, where
Yes, love that
where
movie.
where you just, there's just a point where you can transition. You can, there's a thin line between death and the other side, the other existence. Now that might be transitioning a little bit, not quite talking about what zombies are, but it's the same thing that you're saying, a borderline area
Yes.
where you're not with this. But what happens to you when you're not with this? Where do you go? And is there a duration of your
Right.
soul
Well,
that
let
stays?
me toss out another movie you may not have seen. I bet Timberwolf has probably seen it. It was called Chiller, from the early 80s. It was a made-for-TV movie. It was about a young millionaire who died, and he's cryogenically frozen. And then they thaw him, and he comes back to life. But it's not him.
Oh,
The body comes back, but he is soulless.
wow.
So he's kind of a zombie, kind of not. Very, very amoral. Murders, rapes, has incest, all of these things, because he's alive, but the one crucial element that actually made him human didn't come back with him. Yes, didn't come back with him when they reanimated him. So, I mean, there is that element. At what point do we bring someone back, but we don't bring back the soul?
The soul. That's a very, very good point. And thanks for really helping me go where I was trying to go out with that, because that's such a gray area. It's the area that we're talking about with the proverbial creation of a zombie, or just something that is not you. If you don't come back, because if you, okay, gentlemen like us, do you believe in a soul? Do you believe that we have a soul? Do you believe that there's more after this physical form that we all carry
Yes.
around, this vessel? So when you believe that, okay, not only are you sparking the thought of the real existence of it, because you're thinking it into existence, which we talk about a lot as well, then you believe that if your soul leaves you, then, like you just hypothesized, if it's gone, how are you going to be 100% sure that it's going to come back? Into your physical form. It could be another form, or somebody else's soul, or implications, imprints of somebody else. So,
Well,
yeah,
and the other dangerous aspect is, if we can start bringing the soul back, then that means we can start manipulating souls.
yeah,
Well,
I know. Agreed.
there it goes into, and one of the things that I've come across is we've all heard stories of them being able to take somebody, transferring somebody's consciousness into their
Yes.
body, like another grown body. It's the same as their same exact body. They're just transferring consciousness, but that goes against the grand scheme of things, because I mean you're meant to live and die at a certain point. It's inevitable, but you're supposed to complete a task here. In the grand scheme of things, no matter what religion, no matter how you look at things, whether you look at religion, look at it religiously, look at it spiritually, you're here to complete a task and do something, whether that's learn, save somebody's life, whatever. It could be the tiniest little thing, but you have to complete that task before you're allowed to go and do something else. And every time, like that, you leave your soul, that you're, and I hate, I don't want to say I hate using the term, but often I don't usually use the term. I use the term like there's an energy source. inside, because soul is usually like kind of a religious term. You know, you say the soul, and how the word soul is used in the Bible, or just in in religious practices and whatnot. But at the same time, yes, I believe that there's an energy source that leaves out of the body and stays out, and after a particular point, it decides to move on. Or it is actually forced to move on. We've heard stories of entities just floating around, being in limbo, and that's where we hear about ghosts and ghost stories, paranormal. But having been out of my body and seeing myself laying on the ground at the playground, or I'm sorry, at a friend's playground in their backyard, and nobody else being around, and feeling that feeling of peace and quiet, it was a unique experience. And then to be spiraled back into my body, I mean, down to down to my eyelid. Like, imagine like zooming in all the way down from above down to somebody's eyelid, and that's what I did. But I spiraled all the way down back to myself.
You remember this happening to yourself, is what you're saying?
I 100% remember the whole thing, and this is the one thing that I was waiting to bring up. As far as like having, Travis said, what happens when when the soul leaves the body? Numerous things happen, because I mean, it's supposed to be, there's basically like a soul. For my studies, there's a soul generator. There is a God, but don't look at him as a religious sense. He's not a religious God. He is he's a creator. There are other creators that assist him as well, just on a lower scale. But we all are part of a soul generator. We all go back and join together with these other souls, and then we choose to take on a life. We know what's going to happen in that life, but we choose to take it on because there's a task to be completed. But in each time, we literally get a mind wipe, and like when we die, we come back again each time. If you believe in reincarnation, every time you go around, you're completing a task. That may be to like I said, maybe save somebody's life, maybe to just learn a lesson, maybe to be there for someone to talk to at the right point, in the right time. And that person that was there, that you helped through a bad time, went on to change the world, or went on to make humanity better. And that, I mean, the tiniest little thing could mean everything to the world. And that's how you kind of have to look at it, being out here and being on the planet. That there's a task that everybody here is meant to complete. It could be, all of them could be unique things that forwarded humanity and made us forward.
You hit something on the head and made me think, and brought me to this question that I'm about to ask. Do you gentlemen believe that the Earth can survive without human beings? And the reason why
I think the Earth could do a lot better without human beings. In all honesty, I mean, I'm serious. I mean, you think about what we've done to this planet. I mean, we have. No, look, my dad was a coal miner. I grew up in a coal mining house, but we have raped this planet of its natural resources. We have polluted it beyond belief. We have hunted animals to extinction. We've hunted each other to extinction. This planet could survive without us. This planet is not surviving because of humankind. It's just not.
But to what? Go ahead, Tim. Because
real quick, I said that the statistics said 50 million people. That's what the Earth was meant to supposedly have inhabited. No more than 50 million people. So imagine it's the 8+ billion people that we have on the planet. Shrink that down to 50 million, then disperse them all over the planet in prospective areas, and everybody has a big backyard.
Well, you guys explain something to me. You tell me. So all the information that we've been putting out there and everything that we know that is happening to this day, which was all planned and premeditated by our superior one, right? Okay. Right. For us to get better in intelligence, technology was supposed to improve, lifespans were supposed to extend, and you gentlemen are trying to tell me that we're depleting the planet. Well, all that be it true, if I'm playing devil's advocate, well, it was all by design. We're creating extending life, and we're growing in population. What did we think was going to happen? You remember in our lifetime, even we're approximately all the same age. You remember when there was four? I remember when there was 4 billion people on the planet. I remember it was said 4 billion people. There are 7+ billion people. It's only going to grow unless extreme natural disasters take place that take out hundreds of thousands of millions of people. It's going to continue to grow. Which area? Where do you gentlemen think that we're headed? There's not going to be less people. It's going to continue to grow. So we're trying to make food. We're trying to create different plantations and areas to develop organic style foods to feed the people. There's no other there's no other choice. We're not gonna be eliminated. We're not gonna try to eliminate. Well, hence, there are some things that are happening that we're not seeing because you look at Travis knows where I'm going with this, because you have to try to maintain the balance because we're surviving longer. You back in those days, people died real young, real young.
But we've done that, and that's what I was saying. We have extended the lifespan. The creator, God, whatever you want to, God didn't do that. We've done that. We've created medications. We've created technology that's extending unnaturally lifespan. And again, because I'll get crucified at some point in some chat room. This is going to get out there, and I will get crucified in some chat room because I always do. Because they always pick on me. I don't know why they pick on me, but they pick on me.
It's that smooth voice you got there.
I mean, we've done this though. We've created this society where we want to keep living, and trust me, I understand it. Yeah. I do. Yeah. I understand wanting to transfer your intelligence into a machine or into somebody else so that can keep going, but that's what we're doing is not the way it was created. That's not the way it was set up. That's not the process that this planet was established for. And I'm not one of those, even though I am a Christian and I don't espouse any particular denominational belief, but I'm not one of those people that says the earth is ours, it's our dominion, we can do with it what we want. I don't hold that view. Right. I don't believe that at all. As a matter of fact, if you actually look at the biblical process, we come from the earth. God made, if you're looking at the biblical perspective, God made mankind out of the earth. The earth was first. Right. And then man came from the earth. So I think there is a serious reconfiguration of our thinking. I honestly believe and buy into the whole Gaia Mother Earth concept that this planet is alive. Mm-hmm. As much as we are. I believe that with every fiber of my being.
Well, there you have it. That I mean, so essentially, you kind of answered the question that I had with the answer that I was kind of expecting. Tim also alluded to it a little bit when he talked about the connection between the people and the earth. So mm-hmm. I asked the question, do we think, and we answered it the way we felt, we deemed necessary, right? Does the planet Earth need, and this is all civilization. I'm talking about plant life, any mammal style life forms that create life through birth, male, female species, things of that nature, right? So do you gentlemen, and you kind of answered it in a way, whether you thought you did or not, in my opinion, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it's the beings that inhabit the planet help it thrive. Yes, we take away from the resources that were there. It's there for you to use. Listen, who wrote a book? There was never any book. During the caveman era, there was no book. There was no guideline as to how much of the supplies you're supposed to use, when you should use them. We had to figure it out. Nobody told us. And then when you start implementing governments, now the governments are trying to tell us, right? Because they're in charge. They're the overseers. Okay, they're controlling the mass populace because if not, we run amok, right? Like the Western days, run around with 2 sidearm 6 shooters and shooting up every town you go to like Billy the Kid. But you had to figure out a way to govern it. Have we mastered it? Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you, gentlemen, something. You drive up any one of your highways. Tim's in my area, and you can see big time facilities. And yes, they do produce a lot of smog and pollution. But guess what? Those manufacturing companies are keeping a lot of things up and running as well.
Yes. And don't get me wrong. Like I said, my dad was a coal miner, and I support coal miners 100%. I don't support the industry necessarily. I think the industry is irresponsible. I think the industry was irresponsible not just to the earth and to the environment, but to its employees. There's a reason that unionization took place in the coal mines. That's one of the industries that it was definitely needed. They would work these men to death. Yeah. But I guess my point is, when we talk about mankind and Earth, it really is a symbiotic relationship. Mm-hmm. We came from the Earth. We returned to the Earth. That's actually one of those things.
Okay, Venom. I guess the planet is Spider-Man, and
and we're Venom. That's pretty much what we are. Yeah, we are Venom. Yeah. It's a symbiotic relationship. I mean, we come from the Earth, we return to the Earth.
That's a very good example to Travis. But go ahead.
And while we're here, we have a choice to either act responsibly or act irresponsibly when it comes to our place on this planet. And most of us, including myself, act irresponsibly. We don't care. Yeah. Because we just automatically assume the sun is going to rise tomorrow and the day is going to start all over, and everything is going to start all over again. We take absolutely no thought that it might end, and we take zero responsibility for our personal actions.
And well spoken. You want to piggyback on that, Tim? I really just wanted to go there, and I knew I was going to get a full-fledged answer, in which I was searching for. So thank you. Mr. Short. And it's just that these questions, I mean, they can go on and on. We can go back and forth about what's necessary, what do we need to exist, how do we control it. You're talking about hundreds and thousands of years now of the planet's existence, and how much of it has there been humanity on it. I don't know. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but the determination of when it's all going to end. If you bring a Bill Bean onto the show, it's a lot sooner than later. Okay. But am I willing to accept that at this point? I have not given up on humanity just yet. It's that question of, I forget which, I'll refer to another movie. The name of the movie might come to me later, but it's like, just imagine if you were the one, somebody came to you, Travis or Tim, and said, look at your planet. Your planet is terrible. It's up to you, based on what your next move determines the fate of the entire planet. I mean, how fair is that to base whatever you do, Travis, and that, or you, Tim, and the fate of our entire world will depend on your answer. Do you think humanity deserves another chance or no? You know what I mean? And if the answer might be no, and then we're all gone. So my answer is yes. I have not given up yet. That's it.
Go ahead, Travis.
No, you go, sir. I've monopolized the conversation. I've been on a soapbox. I apologize.
Well, when I hear things like this is the fourth go round for humanity in general, this is the fourth try.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general, throughout the grand scheme of things, when we were developed here and put here, and all the genetic alterations, the 64 to 65 corrections that we spoke of prior, in a prior episode, it said that that humanity's done this, 4 times, and from what I've heard is the last time became way more technically advanced than where we currently stand right here, right now. So they made it further faster the last go around, apparently, and we are for some reason stalled. And that's I don't know that's again that's a whole other story. Like I said, we were talking about civilization. You asked me what did I think about where civilization is going, and I said it's stalled. Before, and it's not going anywhere because we've been put into that like, all right, we'll go into sleep mode right now, go into standby mode, and just wait and wait and wait, and we're going to be in a state of a period of waiting. But I mean, but then again, something could come along and could just wipe us out, like Travis said. The next day could be, a month from now, could be 800 months from now, could be something that we won't even see, but it could come in the near future, and our children, could witness it. But regardless, we're still going to go back to, the big generator in the sky. However anybody wants to slice it or look at it, call it heaven, call it, the divine place, call it the soul generator, whatever it is. There's always going to be that's going to put us in some other type of form. We will have another form to choose from.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I love that. That's why I know I can have these conversations with you, gentlemen, because you just never know all the hypotheses, all the theories, the theoretic ideas, the movies. That's what we are, right? We're creators. Tim, we do movies, we film movies, we paint scenarios. All these movies that we've talked about that I've brought up from YouTube and all, they all started with a writer, somebody that wrote and had to make it make sense to an audience to make it believable. And some of these are educated guesses, hypotheses, things that if you can actually make one believe if could actually happen. And when we have discussions like this, well, it's the same thing. We're creating metaphoric scenarios in our head and just trying to answer them, to play both sides of the fence essentially, and say, okay, well, if I'm saying this is possible, then how would you tell me that wouldn't happen, or that's not possible, or why is what you're saying more accurate than what I'm saying, when really at the end of the day we don't know. We're talking about souls and what happens after death and things of that nature, and how I can't honestly, I couldn't put my last dollar bill on it and say, yep, I'm 100% right. And I know you two pretty well. I don't think you're going to be able to do the same thing either. You have Travis who spent years in the ministry. Okay, so he studied this as something that was his life, and he had to represent it in the right way because that was his job. But it seems like more, and correct me if I'm wrong, Travis, but it seems like more nowadays you've become a lot more acceptant to things that might not be completely accepted in the ministries anymore.
No, you're absolutely right. My going into the ministry was, I thought, a good thing. I thought it was a good fit, and I tried. I tried really hard. But there's a couple things. Number one, I really suck at telling people how to live their lives because I think that's a personal choice. I try to simply give advice and give counsel. I really suck as a role model, which is another problem. and then there's that whole aspect of I can't really be adamant about certain things when I'm not 100% sold on them myself. And I've opened myself up. Now, don't get me wrong. The journey, the journey has been. I guess, in all honesty, if I were going to associate myself with any particular theological, philosophical, I'm a Gnostic. It's about the journey. It's about the process. It's not even about the destination, but it's about what's going on right now and what can I learn today that can make tomorrow different. And then tomorrow I'll learn something that's going to make that day different, and then I'll learn something the next day. So it's about the journey. Mm-hmm. And so for me, even claiming that I am a Christian, and I am, because that is the way that I was brought up. That's my sphere of uh, perspective and my perception. That's what it's encased in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also encased in a little bit of occultism. It's a little bit of spirituality. It's a little bit of Native American. It's a little bit of Aboriginal. It's a little bit of all of these different elements, because I don't think, and again, this is going to get me crucified in the chat rooms, I don't think that any one way, any one belief system is the right way. I think it's right for an individual. I think we find our own path, and that path leads us where we're supposed to be if we follow that path. And the problem is sometimes we veer off of that path, and I veered off my path. My path right now is a Gnostic path. I am on a path of exploration and of journey and of finding out more, because I want to know more.
Mm-hmm.
Do I believe in unidentified aerial phenomena? Yes, I do. Do I believe in Sasquatch? Yes, I do. Do I believe in the ability to reanimate dead bodies? Absolutely. We do it all the time. Do I think that what we do in a hospital is just the breaking ground of technology? Absolutely not, because the government controls every aspect of technology and every aspect of technological advancement. So I keep seeking. I keep looking, I keep trying to find answers. And I never one day do I ever lay my head down thinking, I've solved it all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, everything you said, I would duplicate for myself, and just basically, you could have been a spokesperson for me, and I would agree with everything. Only because that is me, and that's why I was. And thank you for being honest and candid with me about that, because that is one thing that I detected about you after being around you. I grew up in a family of a really righteous, God-fearing woman, and I know you hear me talk about my mom sometimes, Sadie Harris, and she still is heavily into the church. She is on the church choir, has been forever. She doesn't use profanity. She lives by a certain code, and guideline to her life, and that it will always be that way for her the rest of her life. And I know that. And I grew up in those church nurse, daycares and things of that nature. But it didn't grab me enough to keep me locked into that way of life. And it's only because I believe exactly how you have said. And what I used to tell people a lot back in the days is, if and this is to your point, if I wanted to take this SD card, okay, and worship this SD card like it's the most precious thing to me, and pray on it and make it, all my life is about, by worship and thinking that it's helping me develop my life. I make it more than just an SD card by doing that. Okay.
Yes.
I've created something of belief that I believe
Yes.
in, whether you believe it or not. I believe in this SD card, and it's my new, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Have either you or Tim ever really researched the whole Alcoholics Anonymous process? Because that's actually one of the key 12 steps, is finding belief in a higher power. Mm-hmm. And that higher power doesn't have to be the Judeo-Christian God. And they even tell you that if you can look at a doorknob, and that doorknob, and this is one of the examples that they use, if you can make that doorknob your higher power, that doorknob becomes something very, very special to you. Now, in a lot of churches, that would be considered idolatry, because you're making something else God. But we're not talking about making something God. We're talking about making something a higher power, something that is greater than you, something that is bigger than you. And so I think that we as humankind, and I actually want to hear Tim chime in on this, because Tim's never talked about his belief system. And I'm
quiet over there.
He is, and his and he's all there in dark right now, with and honestly, it's a little bit like Jesus is watching me when I see him right there, right now in the shadow. It's a little bit like Jesus watching me.
Did you what did you just say?
What? I didn't. No,
repent
but
now.
But it is I think we, as a race, we have to find a belief in a higher power, because if we think that we are it, we will continue to be arrogant, and we will continue to rape this planet, and we will continue to treat one another like crap, and we will continue to have racism, and we'll continue to have bigotry, and we'll continue to have hatred, and we'll continue to have political and religious zombies like we saw in Nazi Germany, and quite frankly, like we have seen arise in this country in the past few years. And I don't want to see that. I think we have to rise above all of that.
Agreed. What do you say there, Timberwolf?
Well, what part would you like me to answer first?
I want you to start at the beginning and just go. Just take it from there.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the term assumption is the mother of all f-ups?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I think we as human beings, it's really, really shallow, really elementary school of us to think that the creator of everything that is going on in the grand scheme of things would be limited or labeled to a particular religion or like I said before, a deity, like taking a particular form. I think that we assume too much. We when it comes to religion and a lot of times spiritualism, we assume too much when there are things so much, like, it is so much more vast out there. When just think of how far numbers go and all of that. So from a religious standpoint, yes, I did my 8 years of catechism. I went to Sunday school, and then off to church directly afterwards. So and I learned all of it, but then I found the spiritual side of things and kind of fell into reincarnation. But I just think that when people throw themselves into religion and they look at God as this religious this religious terminology or this religious higher power, and it has nothing to do with religion at all. That's just kind of how I felt. I would think that a being that is able to create all of this and keep everything in balance is not concerning itself or occupying its time with any form of religion. I
see what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
I mean, just think of all the stars out there, and then all the planets around those individual stars and those galaxies, and the tens of billions of galaxies that we have in our universe.
It's a lot to focus on. I understand.
A lot to focus on, like keeping, like we said, weights and balances of the universe. Keeping everything in balance. Like keeping things in balance. You ever figure just the simplest thing, like the fact that the moon is the exact size of the sun when it does a solar eclipse, when it moves across. Like the fact that it's that far away that it does a perfect eclipse like that. There is a balance that is involved with that, and whatever's keeping that in balance is a being or some kind of entity or energy that is way more powerful than any kind of man-made religion.
Wow. You hit it right on the head.
I'm not saying that to try and smash anybody's ideals or hopes or dreams of anybody's religious, because I'm not here to S on anybody's belief system. It is just my belief. I just kind of figure that things are really complex. And with as complex as things are, do you really think that being is paying attention, making sure that you showed up to church on Sunday and made sure that when you walked out, you anointed yourself with holy water and you shook the hand of the priest and you made sure you gave money to the church? I mean, God, the higher power, the entity, is not concerned with that. Just in my eyes, it has bigger things to worry about.
Well, and I agree totally. And as Kev asked Bill last night, Derek, did Jesus ever say, build a church and come in here and give me all your money? No, he didn't. No, he did not. And again, and I appreciate everything that Tim just said. And I agree with it 100%. But bringing it back to my perspective and the way that I came up. The one thing that always resonated with me is one conversation in the New Testament that Jesus Christ had with the people, and they were saying, what are the greatest commandments? Because there's not just 10, there's 10 that we know of. There's actually closer to 400 commandments in Jewish law, but what's the greatest commandment? And the response was, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might. And the second is greatest, love your neighbor as yourself. And I think if we could ever get to the point where that we love a higher power and we love our neighbor as we love ourselves, and that's twofold, that means I have to also love myself.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hate myself. I have to accept myself. I have to like myself. I have to love myself, because if I can't do that, then I definitely cannot love my neighbor. I cannot fulfill that second aspect. And that's where I think religion has destroyed the entire concept of Christianity, which was a relationship with God, the higher power, the creator, as Tim says, the soul generator, that relationship, and then a relationship with those around us. And that's what organized religion killed.
And in turn, created wars.
Yes.
Man-made adoption and religion turned into man-made wars, turned into man-made vendetta.
Yep.
Well, I want to shift gears just a little bit from here, because we will pick up on next week's show, and I want to.
But keeping it balanced, that also gave millions and millions and millions of people throughout the years hope.
Oh yeah, the hope. That's the thing. But isn't that what it's all about? That's always what it's been about. Since you went there with it, Tim, the standoff at the Alamo, just the belief, just the people who fought with a belief that they could win when they were outnumbered. You need that kind of hope. It empowers you, man. That this is why I believe in humanity. You can fight and fight to your last breath when conditions are not quite in your favor, just based off of hope. Now, not, obviously you're going to need some skill sets too, like how to use a firearm pretty well, given the scenario. But my point is believing and fighting and never giving up. That comes from a belief system of hoping and that's just, I don't know. I mean, when you said that, that's the first thing that triggered in my mind is, this is what keeps us going, man. Believing that is not over. A lot of people have given up on hope and faith and encouraging themselves, to carry on, and it's not, we were talking about it last night too, Travis. I touched on that a little bit, and here I am again having the same conversation. It is not that easy. It's easy for me to say that, right? I can sit up here and say it, but how easy is it to really do when stuff really goes tragically wrong in your life? How easy is it to do then? Believe and have all this so-called hope.
It's not at all.
But what I was going to say was, and I'll bring it in right now. I want to have a discussion, and maybe we can pick up, because I don't want to keep you guys much later. It's getting a little late in the evening. It's been a great show, though. I'm excited that I'm pretty happy that we carried on this topic, Travis. That's why I was saying I knew there was a lot more to it that could be discussed, and we tapped into some of that this evening. But what do you gentlemen think about cloning? Right. We talk all this, right? We talk about, being God's beings or superior beings' creation. Is it fair? Is it time for us to really excel and become advanced in the art of cloning creatures, human beings? Are we getting ready to reach that level, that phase? And is it necessary? And I need honest answers from you two. Not that you wouldn't give me anything other than that.
I'll give you honesty all day long. As far as I love Multiplicity. That's one of my favorite movies when it comes to cloning, because I love that each time he clones himself, he gets dumber and dumber and dumber.
Uh,
Again, where do we draw the line at playing God or creator or whatever you want to call it? I mean, we're already bringing people back to life. We're already extending life. And sometimes we're extending life and bringing people back to life at no good positive cause. Derek, you know this story. My cousin died back in the spring. I got the phone call Sunday night during Warrior Mode. 51 years old, dropped dead. Well, he had a massive heart attack. They did not expect him to live. I immediately drove to Virginia the next day, expecting there to be a funeral, because my mother called me the next day. She's like, he's on life support. They're taking him off life support. They say it'll take a few hours, but that'll, So I drove 3 hours to Virginia, got there, visited, my aunt, my cousin, my cousin's brother, my other cousin. We reminisced, we talked, we cried, we laughed, we went through all of those emotions. I went home. I went back to my hotel room, and I was on a Zoom call the next morning with the Radio Advertising Bureau and doing a training seminar. And I was 2 hours into a 4-hour session when my phone started blowing up, and it was my mom. And she's like, call me when you can. And so I did. And I called her on a lunch break, and she's like, you're not going to believe this. She goes, but your cousin started breathing. Now, they took my cousin at 4:00. They started taking him to the operating room because he was an organ donor. So they took him to the operating room. They were going to start harvesting his organs. While he was on the operating table, he started breathing again on his own. He came back to life. And life in quotations. Mm-hmm. He was breathing. His heart was beating. There was no brain function, but he was breathing and his heart was beating. That was on Wednesday. Now, when that happened, I went ahead and drove back to Kentucky on Wednesday. And then on the following Sunday, I got the phone call I drove back to Kentucky and then got the phone call that I needed to come back. So I came back the very next day to Virginia, waited around, nothing happened. I was with my son was gone. I was with my daughter. My daughter and I drove to Tennessee, which is where he was in the hospital. Drove to the hospital. I got to see him, got to talk to him in the state that he was in. Left, drove back to Virginia. On that Sunday, he finally passed. He finally died. Now, he died on a Monday. On a Wednesday, he came back to life. He stayed alive through to a Sunday, and then he died again. Now, was that medical intervention? Was it spiritual intervention? Was it divine intervention? I don't know. I have no clue. What I do know is that the up and down roller coaster ride took its toll on the family. Mm-hmm. Because they grieved, and then they lost, and then they got back, and then they lost, and it was this back and forth kind of, nobody knew what was going on, and to this day, the doctors still cannot explain why he had the massive heart attack, why he died, why he came back, and why he died again.
Yeah, and I remember that time, and it's it's crazy because everything that you're talking about, I remember. I remember
I
when
know.
you sent us the group chat, into our group chat about, hey, good news. It's like a miracle. I mean, I'm quoting some of the stuff you were saying. It's like a miracle. He's, my cousin's breathing again. I remember how happy we were. We were all just
Oh
like,
yeah.
this is crazy. This is crazy. He was going to make it. And then all of a sudden, it was just like you're explaining. And I know how tough that was for you to explain that. And, the audience might not know, but you and your cousin were really, really close. You're talking about a first cousin. They grew up together. You know how that could be, Tim. Just somebody who you're really close to. That would be like my cousin Jay to me. And he's traveling great miles back and forth just for the simple chance of um, seeing him for potentially could be the last time, and then the chance of him actually recovering and having his cousin back. So that whole, I don't know, that takes a lot to be able to deal with a lot, that kind of a emotional, literal emotional roller coaster. And I can see you acknowledging Tim, and Tim's been through a lot too. His lady friend, and forgive me, I'm not gonna go all into it, Tim, but Tim's seen a lot recently here too. But the point is, when we have these discussions, okay, we're talking about stuff that really hurts. It really, really hurts. And you don't know how bad it hurts unless you yourself are going through it. Can't nobody really explain their situations to you and you feel it the same way as that individual. I'm just saying, I remember that time.
Oh,
We
I
were
know.
having our show, Travis, and
Yep.
we just really felt for you. It happened in the middle of the show. I don't know how you toughed it through all that, man. I don't know.
Well, I didn't. If you remember, there were a couple of Sunday nights I fell asleep in the
Yeah,
chair
yeah,
because I hadn't been sleeping through the week, and it was so funny. I told Bill, I said, the minute you say close your eyes and pray, and I fall asleep. That's what happens because I'm not sleeping through the week.
right, right. But and I'm glad we can actually have a little chuckle about that. But you're right, Bill. When he gets into his prayer list and he starts doing that, you see me on the show. I really embrace it. It's a time for me to, breathe and do everything that he's pretty much instructing to do. Um, so it's necessary and it feels good. I start my week out really good because of that. Now that's the
Oh, absolutely.
intent of that. But yeah, yeah, but yeah, these talking about some of the stuff we talk about, when those type of things happen, it makes you wonder what happened with your cousin. It's and really, is he? I believe nothing dies. You hear me talk about this all the time. The energy remains. So there's no real true death. That's my theory on it. The physical form, yes, but the physical form is supposed to move on because it's the physical. It's back from which you came. Our
Hmm.
physical flesh, bones, matter, dust, dirt, collection of water, and assortment of minerals. Everything that's pretty much in the exterior is within us. Electricity, protons, neutrons. Everything metals. Precious metals. Um, everything. It's a lot of things. Put it that way, and people don't really understand what we're composed of. And of course, everybody knows that approximately 70% water, right? So think about that for a minute. It's going to have its duration. It has to. Now if we were robotic or created as out of materials that never breaks down compositely, then that's a whole nother ball game. But that's not what we are. We're human beings, flesh and blood. But all this other stuff that we talk about, the inner, the soul, what makes me Derek Stroman and you Travis Short is something that cannot be destroyed. And
Yep.
in a lot of our shows, we're talking about how people are trying to manipulate the soul, right? Demons take the soul, take your soul, or you offer your soul away for whatever other rewards and prizes and things of that nature. So you can, hey, audience, they can believe it or not. I'm not giving up my soul. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna hold on to mine, and I'm pretty sure you feel the same way, Travis. And I see you over there muted up there, Timberwolf. But I'm pretty sure you've been listening to the conversation. And just before, yeah, I want you to chime in on what we've just been talking about. But I do want to close the show. Go ahead and get us out of here. It's 9:30, almost on the dot, and we can pick back up next week.
Yes.
No, I'm just checking in with you. I mean, were you able to hear what we were discussing just now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I haven't personally witnessed or had that kind of loss. Like had somebody start making their way back only to lose them again. I've never personally experienced that, and that is kind of I understand that the ups and downs of that, but not fully understand the ups and downs of that.
Yeah. But so real quick here, I didn't do it tonight because sometimes we get enthralled in our conversation.
You still there, Travis?
I'm here. Where did Derek go?
I don't know.
He disappeared.
Yes, he did.
But we're still live, so
yeah.
hopefully he'll come back. Yeah, no.
Sorry about that.
Maybe Bigfoot got him again.
Yeah, I know, right?
Bigfoot. Yeah, there we go. He's back. You love doing that. You love making these dramatic disappearances, and then you reappear. It's amazing.
I pressed the wrong button. I didn't think it was just going to come.
I believe in Bigfoot. I don't believe that there's such thing as a Derek Stroman.
I think I'm beginning to align my beliefs with Timberwolf. So,
hey, look. Sometimes I'm not sure if there's me either. Sometimes I'm just like, hey, but look, I feel as though I'm here right now, at least temporarily. So I'm gonna try to get you guys out of here because I know you got lives outside of the Speak Your Mind Paramedia activity show. But I did want to jump in the chat room real quick. Not a lot of visitors this evening, but I always want to acknowledge the people that were in the room there. And JR Graphics, thanks for watching the show. He said some things earlier. No, I don't listen at all. I'm a leader. So just some of the topics we were talking about how a lot of people follow groups and all that, but not leaders. And I think that's when he mentioned that. Michael Huther, he had something slick to say about Johnny Lang. He said zombies must exist. I mean, he said how else do you explain Johnny Lang? So
well, I don't know how you explain that picture that Johnny posted of himself in that Speedo today. What was he thinking?
So you're just getting real privy to Johnny Lang. Johnny Lang, the cross-dresser. Oh my!
No, I don't want to see. I mean, there's some things I can't unsee. That's one of them. That's one this week. He gets one. That's it.
He does it for a great cause. So if you let him explain, and he does. It's for charity reasons and all that. It's he's trying to get me to do it, but I told him it'll never happen, JL.
No,
it's not gonna. What'd you say?
Right, the drag show.
Yeah, the drag show.
No, I'm talking about the Speedo. His birthday picture was him with like the Speedo trunks.
Oh, he was on the boat.
Yes. Yeah. No, it was no. Yeah. I could handle the cross dressing. That's fine.
Oh, I don't know about that though.
I mean, he's got a drag show. I think it's called the Miss Johnny Lang pageant or something of that nature. Yeah. And it's coming up, and he's trying to get participants and also get some sponsors as well.
Yeah. And so, are you gonna dress up as a woman as well? Look, I seen that turn. Hey, you should have saw it. Do that turn one more time. Do that turn one more time, Timberwolf.
Don't let the hair fool you.
The long, you got the long hair already sewed up, brother.
Yeah, but you see this right here? This is a
so apparently the beard ain't a beard. It's real. So
Yeah, it's real.
Oh my.
Unless we put like a latex chin and neck piece that covers this whole area, my entire jawline as well as my lip, that'd be the greatest lip strip on the planet. That would,
Hey, look, I'm all in support of Johnny Lang and what he does, especially for awesome causes like that. I told him, look, I will support in other ways. I am not going to dress up as a female. I'm sorry, I just can't. I can't do it. You know, try.
Well, I can't imagine you with hair. So
Right.
that's freaking me out. First of all,
I'm trying to grow some peach fuzz. You know, that's about as much as it grows, and then I got to cut it again, or it starts looking crazy. You know, but yeah, love Johnny Lang. Be great to get him on this show one time. I think we're going to work towards making that happen. And so, yeah, oh yeah, and then Jr. said something toward the end there. Well, we was just talking about we are the viruses to this planet. And look, I wasn't trying to act like we're not causing harm to the planet. We are as humans. I get it. I just think it was more premeditated than the way we act. I understand that um, it's we're depleting and destroying and overutilizing. I just don't know. I just don't know who's like how we're going to do any. We can do something about it, but it's almost like one person can't make a complete difference. Everybody needs to do it. Something catastrophic needs to happen for the masses to respond all at once. So it's almost like you understand what I'm saying. It's not you can preach to the choir all day. Hey, look, you can't do this. You're not supposed to do that. Then you have people like myself. I don't litter. Ask anybody. Um, Timberwolf, ask Angel and them. You know, I mean, you've been around me for a while, but ask people that really know me. I don't litter. I'm doing my part. I mean, do you guys throw trash out the window? Do you guys leave, you don't smoke cigarette butts and crap all over the place? You see what I mean? We all got to do our part. Now, if you mean to tell me, Travis, that you can get 500,000 or 1 million or 100 million people all by yourself to comply, then good luck there. And you might be able to do it because you got that smooth, suave voice, and all that you need is a real loud speaker. And you'd be like, "Listen, everybody out there, I need you to stop what you're doing." And
doing right now.
It might work, but I'm making fun.
Won't.
You get what I'm saying? It's hard. It has to be something more. People are used to momentous, mega things happening that change everything. We need the what is it, the movie with something we need a Close Encounter of the Third Kind.
Third kind.
We need a flying saucer that come out of the sky.
But do we? I mean, honestly, don't the big momentous occasions, those don't happen. That's why they're big. That's why they're big and momentous, because they happen periodically. Shouldn't it be the little things that actually have us changing direction and changing our ways, changing what we do and what we say and how we act and how we think? The little things.
I agree. And well spoken again. And do you want to add to that? Yeah, I mean, you know it's true. It's just together we'll do our part, and shows like this is us doing our part. We're putting information out there. So you listen to somebody might say, hey, you know what? Damn, that guy was right. That guy that's always getting abducted by Bigfoot. He might.
There is no Derek Stroman. We all know that.
Point. He might have a point. And that other guy who looks like Jesus, I think I'm going to listen to him because he looks so much like Jesus.
He does.
Jesus, I need to listen to him. So, and then, I mean, and I'm saying it once again in a joking manner, but you never know who you impact out there, and that's why we do these shows. But so JR did say another thing as a closing here before he went to bed over in England. He said, on that note, he's out. He was getting ready to go to bed. He said, I'm not getting zombies. He said, what did he say? Now I'm not getting zombies out of my head. Back to the zombie trailer. He is actually working on a Necropolis trailer. So for that Real Brothers production with Andre Barry and Eric Jones, Necropolis, zombie flick. Okay. So he's got zombies galore going on over there right now because he's putting together a trailer. But he said good night. But he also said much love to you, Travis, for bringing up that Chiller movie, which I remember he must have seen it, but I kind of
It's
remember hearing of it, but I've never seen it.
it's a good movie. It is Wes Craven, and Craven for a TV movie, it was edgy at the time. It really was. Like I said, I mean, there's this whole he kills people. He has this incestuous relationship with like his sister or his cousin. I can't remember which it is. It's really weird, but he just comes back totally soulless, and it's him, and the mom loves the fact that her son's back, but she also realizes her son's not back.
Right.
And you have to wonder if we start reanimating people, do we bring back all of them?
Yeah.
And my name is Rod Serling, and this is the Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. Good one for closing. And just real quick, so I can get you guys out of here. Travis, any words of confidence or anything that you want to tell the audience before we close the show out this evening?
You know what? After last week, my plan is to end even these shows with these words of advice. Live your life in faith, strength, and courage. And make sure that you are surrounded by people that love you and care about you and have your back. That is worth more than anything.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I will apply that to myself, and I appreciate that. I believe in it. I saw you had a bracelet on. This bracelet says faith. I have one that says faith. So
yeah, mine is actually a partner here with CMH23.com, Country Music Highway. I try to promote them as much as possible. They partnered with us here with the OTG Challenge.
Nice. I know you're always the businessman over there. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, so I just always wish you the best and support you in everything you're doing. And hopefully, I'd like to see it for myself one day. I probably wouldn't. I'm like this.
You need to come down. I will get up on the Bigfoot expedition, but there will have to be a blessing.
All right. Yes, sir.
Because there's a story that you and I will talk about after, off air and off the record. But yeah, no, I'm not doing anything unless there's going to be a blessing before and after.
Yeah, you've made that quite clear, on not only this show, but on the Warrior Mode show, because this is something, we're really trying to get you up there. It could really take it to a whole nother level if I had somebody like yourself in front of the camera at all times, kind of, doing the live interviews, the real time interviews, yes, you got Todd, but then Todd needs somebody to help guide him at times in the right direction of what to say, what, being as questionnaires, because if not, he's just going to free float like he did, which he did a great job doing, but we need to be more coordinated if we really want to push this, because we're trying to really push this to some networks, and it can happen because
it can. It's good stuff.
Yep. So I appreciate that. And on to you, Timberwolf. Any words you'd like to project into the atmosphere before we close out?
No, I can't follow what Travis said.
So
I don't have the motivational chops that he does. I'm just going to go ahead and revert.
And this is coming from the head of Jesus in the darkness. I don't have the motivational chops that Travis has, so I have no words to impart. These are dark times indeed.
Judging by the image there, it looks pretty dark.
I
think he's covering it. We're all well lit.
Actually, right now in the darkness, he kind of looks like a really young Gandalf from Lord of the Rings.
Run, you fool!
You shall not pass. Boom.
That would be a good role for you too. A young Gandalf, right?
Young Gandalf, he could do that.
Dye all your hair, all that long brunette stuff, gray and white, like white. Not even gray, just all white, like bleach white, kind of. No, not.
Well, no, because I mean, you have to think if Gandalf was that white, he had to have been of ginger.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, nobody gets that white.
Not a young version. He'd have to have.
No, he'd have to be. Yeah.
If there was a movie done or like a small like TV movie done on the Allman Brothers, then I could play Greg Allman.
Yes, you could. Yes, you could.
Who they are. Who's the Allman Brothers?
Oh, okay. I'm just disconnecting right now.
Oh no! Don't do it! Don't, my bad. I should know this. Oh, look, I got YouTube right here. Oh my goodness, Allman Brothers. Look, I'll find out real quick. I won't be lacking in knowledge for too much longer. Watch this.
Southern Rock. I mean, Southern Rock dynasty, man. I mean, we're talking legacy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're about to find out.
Who are in that legacy, like the name Van Zandt. Yeah, the name Van Zandt.
Yes.
Legacy.
Oh, it's all Man Brothers, right? All Man. Right?
Yeah.
ALLMAN Brothers. Greatest hits.
Saying Almond.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was Allman Brothers. Bunch of nuts, man. No, but I see him. Oh, I see the one dude with the long. Two of them got real long hair. That must be one in which you're implying to. We're about to check out the Allman Brothers before we cut out of here real quick here, since it was brought. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I lost my screen share.
You could probably just put a side by side of Greg Allman in my face and
yep.
Y'all ready for some Allman Brothers? Here we go. Oh yeah. What y'all know about the Allman Brothers? Oh yeah. Sing it, brothers. Okay, this was the Allman Brothers Band. That was his greatest hits. I guess that's you right there, Tim.
Yeah, I guess.
Hey, I'll say this though. How about that how often do you see a mixed ethnic band like that? I mean,
in the 70s?
Right. You don't I wasn't expecting that.
In the South? Yeah, you don't.
You don't. So that was quite unique right there. Good call there.
1969 was the beginning of the change, even in the South. So that's where you started seeing bands like this. And don't forget Sly and the Family Stone.
Yeah.
Like Mic Drop. There's your multiracial band that preceded the Allman Brothers.
So Sly and the Family Stone preceded these guys. Okay.
Well, they did. They were operating in the 60s.
Well, I heard of them. Yeah, but these guys I never heard of though.
Right.
Oh, but they're called All Man. Obviously, that has to just do with the fact they're all men. All Man Brothers. Like, I wonder who thought of that name.
Allman. Like you're not going to say All Man because if you're from the South, you're going to say the Allman Brothers.
Right. Well, yeah,
right.
Absolutely. I just find I was not expecting to see this. I mean, it's just like you said, though, Travis. During that time, you wouldn't find this going on. Look, one of them's got a cigarette. The brother over here's got a cigarette in his hand. He's got a cigarette. But they all do. He's got a cigarette.
Yeah, they're all smoking. It's the 70s. Everybody's smoking.
Look, he's got the three of them in the front here got cigarettes for their album cover. Like you don't hold cigarettes when you do your album cover, unless I guess back then, obviously, cool James Dean type. Even though that goes further back, I mean they promoted the heck out of cigarettes back in them days. But
Yeah, so I just picture picture here. Like I turn my phone sideways. Yeah, that is Greg Allman sitting in front on.
In the front, yeah. Okay.
Usually have like big sideburns or mutton chops, and I throw them extremely easily and very quickly.
But what I mean, like, who turned you on to them? I mean, that's not exactly that's like your dad's music, you know. That's not we were just kids back then. It's not like you was like, Dad, I want to hear the Allman Brothers, you
Well,
know.
I mean, like the Allman Brothers. I mean, like they have some hits. I mean, Midnight Rider is probably their greatest hit ever. It's been featured in movies again and again, especially like Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie's utilized Midnight Rider.
Nah, that's awesome, man. You know, like I said, I'm always learning something new when on the show with you gentlemen. It's always fun. I appreciate all your knowledge and things that you know you recall on the fly. I mean, I really wish I knew some of the stuff that you guys know. I mean, everything's a blur to me in my brain, but that ability to retain stuff that I mean, heck, I would have never even something like that would have never been in my memory banks, you know, at all. The stuff that I should be able to remember wouldn't have included this band. So I'm always appreciative of the knowledge that you two bring to the table. So thank you once again, thank you, and I'm sure
No,
the audience appreciates it as well. So, but look, it's late. I'm gonna let you guys get out of here. I'm going to say my farewells. I love you, gentlemen. It's been a fabulous
love
show.
you guys. Good time.
Um,
Yes.
and you know, I know Todd's been wanting to get on the show. He's not feeling very well. That's Todd Smith, the gentleman we've been
Yep.
talking about. Y'all know you know who he is, Travis.
Yep.
He hasn't been feeling well. He's suffering. You know, he's suffered a spinal injury, and it's been bothering him a lot lately. So he couldn't make it on the show. But if you guys have anybody who you'd love to join our show as a special guest, feel free to invite them. Um, you know, I'm pretty sure we'll come up with some pretty cool topics for next week as well. So anything you guys want to want to talk about, man, just let me know and we can get it going. You know, it was a good show tonight. Nice little audience, and we had good content, man. You know, these shows, Travis knows when we do this show, and the acquisition of yourself here, Tim, it's created something. It's a nice bond, and it is an extension of our Warrior Mode show, which just
Mhm.
kind of flows so perfect together. And I just don't think we've really tapped into anywhere close to our potential for the show. Some things that we can do, and I look forward to the future with you, gentlemen. So, and I guess that would be my closing for the night. But unless you guys have anything else that you want to bring to the table before we shut it down, I will talk to you real soon, Travis. As far as you, Tim, it's about time we get back together. Maybe have a little dinner meeting, something, and start planning what we want to do with your project. And I got some stuff coming up too that I want to tell you about too, Tim. And I think you'll be interested. So,
Got it.
all right. So
Sounds good to
anyway,
me. Love both you guys. Have a great evening, and I will be talking with you guys later this week.
all right. Good night. Have a good rest of your week.
Good
Talk to
night.
you soon. Good
Okay.
night. Good night, Trav. Good night, Timberwolf. See you. Wow, another great show. I don't know. I just have a good time, man. Those guys, I care about them gentlemen, man. They bring a lot to the table. We're doing really cool things too that I think everybody out there is going to be interested in seeing. Both Travis and Tim bring a lot to the table with some of their knowledge and just abilities. We got some film projects coming up and some other stuff. I mean, Johnny Lang was mentioned on the show tonight. Him and I and Tim are doing some cool things. Jay Roberts, he chimed in a little bit tonight. Um, he's creating some really awesome stuff. So keep a lookout. Keep a lookout for some really unique, interesting things. And don't forget, this show is called the Paramedia Activity Show. So we're willing to have discussions about anything related. And as you can see, sometimes we'll just talk about things that are just relevant and that we care about. because there's a place for that as well. But I definitely want to get some more of you out there that are experiencing some paranormal activity to chime in on the show. We are still trying to extend our hands to people in need, and if at all possible, we'll be trying to get you some help out there. Okay, so let's not forget that we're also here to do that. All right, and I'm not going to keep you up any later this evening. It's been fun. Love you all. Have a good rest of your week, and we're out.